But this is the thought process behind it, and there's no pushback because the public speaks.
And then I push back and they attack me.
And they attack you. They go after you.
Bring it on. Bring it on, because ignorance bounces off of me like personal hygiene from Michael Moore. It just has no impact whatsoever.
I think he washes. You don't think he shaves?
Michael Moore, what a swine he is. That's a subhuman mongrel if I ever saw one.
I met him. He was a nice guy.
He's a prick. He's a liar.
What do you think he's a liar about?
He's a scam artist.
Is it like gun control?
Well, how about the fact that he put together that so-called documentary that Hollywood actually gave him an award, and he copy and pasted out of sequence the attack on the great Charlton Heston, claiming he was somehow responsible for the little child killing herself with her paroled felon father's gun. And they put it out of sequence and attributed Charlton Heston defending such irresponsible gun ownership. Michael Moore is a lying, cruel, stoned punk.
Is he stoned?
Constantly.
All day?
All the time. I think he uses suppositories.
I don't know him.
I do, and he's a punk.
Have you ever had a conversation with him?
Yeah, I was on his TV show, and I was responsible for ending his TV show because he tried to fuck with me, and I don't know if you noticed, Joe, but I'm unfuckable. You fuck with me, I'll eat your family tree and shit sawdust into your face. Ask Piers Morgan.
That seems like I saw your conversation
Not
with
even
Piers
close.
Morgan.
I was arm wrestling a torso.
Well, the Piers Morgan, the problem is he didn't understand the facts. When you talk about gun violence, he didn't understand how much of gun violence.
He avoided the facts. He knew them. He avoided them.
Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. Plus,
explain what we're talking about, because when you say the numbers of gun violence, a giant percentage of them are suicide. A giant percentage of them are cops killing bad guys.
And citizens defending their families. Yeah.
So all of those are out of and then accidental gun deaths.
Well, may I summarize it for you? So Piers Morgan fancies himself a cocky, rather witty limey. He's got the accent and everything. That funny little, not actually an accent, it's an impediment. But he came on, of course, he's going to take on the Motor City Madman. I mean, this guy's going to be easy pickings. He actually wrote Wango Tango. I'll intellectually.
What is this thing you're doing?
That's that limey, manufactured confidence based on nothing except an ego that has no foundation in fact. So Piers Morgan, the CNN exec. So let's put Piers Morgan on the Motor City Madman. This will be easy pickings. Well, they decided to put it
in a gun store too.
Well,
right?
The first time, you didn't see the first one at the CNN offices? That's even better.
Yeah, I've seen both of them.
Yeah. That's the best one.
Yeah.
And so they think I'm a dirtbag and a goofball because I not only wrote Wang Dang Sweet Poontang, I meant it. But when they take me on, they don't realize I never went to college because I was too busy learning shit. And if you take me on any subject that I am even slightly aware of, I will fuck you up. Because I've studied this stuff. I've lived this stuff. I've been with guns since I could walk. I have had universal, unlimited access to firepower my whole life, both in a recreational, a disciplined, a law enforcement, military training, and just family plinking competition. So in every considerable, imaginable gun use, I've been 68 years of it. So they sicked Piers Morgan on me to teach me a lesson about how irresponsible gun owners are, and that if we could just ban guns, that all the violence would end. And of course, if you haven't seen it, you got to Google it because
what's his take?
Well, I almost fixed him. Because I so overwhelmed them with evidence that they finally researched and realized that every word out of my mouth was absolutely indisputable.
Well, what was most compelling that you were saying to him?
I'll summarize it as this way, like I did to Piers. The anti-gunners have their dream. It exists. It existed in Paris, where all those people were shot with Kalashnikovs. Kalashnikovs were banned. They have their dream. Piers Morgan's dream exists. It's called a gun-free zone. Virginia Tech, Columbine, Sandy Hook, Aurora, Parkland, every instance where the most innocent lives have been slaughtered have been in Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Eric Holder, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama's dream. Their dream is a gun-free zone.
But
where free people are forced into unarmed helplessness where the most innocent lives are lost. And that dream has produced more carnage and destroyed lives than anything in the world, compared to the NRA convention where you have the highest incidence of gun ownership, or opening day of deer season in Michigan where you have 100% gun ownership and access, where nobody gets hurt. So if you know that your dream is a gun-free zone and that's where the most innocent lives are lost, what kind of demonic dirtbag would actually want more?
Well, let me stop.
Gun-free zone.
Let me stop.
Please
I'll take
do.
his position or anybody's position on the other side. You would say the real gun-free zone would be no one having access to the gun that killed those people in the gun-free zone. So it's not a gun-free zone.
And the real answer to drownings in America would be to ban water.
Ban pools.
You work on banning water. I'll work on banning guns, and we'll touch base every few weeks and see how we're doing. You cannot eliminate guns, Finland. You cannot eliminate guns, Alberta, Canada, where the guy came into the university and shot everybody up. It's impossible. So what you do, instead of thinking you could ban water, learn to swim and watch your children by the pool. Call me weird, but the way to handle violence is to carry a gun, practice with it, and when someone brings lethal force against you, shoot the motherfucker.
But people are very uncomfortable with the idea of an incredibly armed society.
Poor uncomfortable baby. Sorry you're uncomfortable. Then go ahead and bend over and die.
But you know what I'm saying?
What the fuck?
I know what you're saying, but wouldn't it be better if there weren't any concern? The idea is to somehow or another take away the concern of people being shot randomly by some psycho. That you've got to figure out, if you get all the guns away.
How do you get all the guns away?
I don't know. But this is what I'm saying.
But you don't know, so let's just stop there and not try.
If it's not that, then everybody's got guns to shoot.
No,
the guy
but everybody
who's got
will
guns.
not have guns.
But some people will have guns.
Some people. Here, I studied San Bernardino. I studied Aurora. I studied Virginia Tech. I studied Columbine. I studied Sandy Hook. I studied them all. Do you know, Joe, and everybody better write this down because I'm the only guy that will tell you this. I've studied the cadence, the bullet manufacturers, the rate of fire, the movement of the perp, and the movement of the victims. In every instance, including in Connecticut, including Aurora, including San Bernardino right here, there were American citizens who would have had a gun on their person if they were allowed to. And they could have been a meaningful force to at least reduce, if not terminate, the violent, murderous threat. But by law, we have been so dumbed down and so forced against our natural survival instinct to have a tool on our belt that in every instance where the most innocent lives were slaughtered, those people that would have intervened with a firearm, not many of them, but there was a janitor, there was a couple of guys in the office, they had concealed weapons permits, but they weren't allowed to have them in that building. In Virginia Tech, there were guys that had concealed weapons permits, but they weren't allowed to have them there. In Aurora, Colorado, are you kidding me? All kinds of people would have had guns. They could have returned fire, but they were forced into unarmed helplessness. Here's the gun debate in its irrefutable conclusion. If you are forced into unarmed helplessness, you are unarmed and helpless. What a horrible, irresponsible, suicidal condition that in. I'm just a guitar player, Joe. I've never been unarmed. Since I graduated from high school, I've always had a hanky and a pocket full of guitar picks and a pocket knife and a belt knife and a belt tool and a pistol and some extra bullets. I just have them everywhere I go. I've never been unarmed. I find it...
How do you travel around?
I improvise, adapt, and overcome. Luckily, I helped pass House Resolution 218, which means all sworn law enforcement officers are allowed to carry a gun nationwide. I've been a sheriff deputy since 1984, and my credentials allow me to carry a gun everywhere I go, and I carry a gun everywhere I go. In fact, even in England, American law enforcement are allowed to carry guns, and I carry a gun over there. It's just a tool. If somebody comes at me...
You carry a gun in England?
Yeah. If some dirtbag comes at me with a spike in the bore, I'll just shoot him.
But
why not? What's
right.
plan B?
No, I agree that
then I'm
better
not
to be
weird.
armed.
Yes,
it's
always.
better to have it and not to need it than to need it and not to have it.
Bingo.
The thing that we would all like to have is no school shootings, no mass shootings, no
Of
Aurora,
course.
no Columbine, no. So how do you stop that? Do you think you stop that with more guns? Or do
Well,
you think you stop that with mental health education, figuring out how to get people off of pills, figuring out how to keep people from living despondent lives where they want to just tear it all down and shoot everybody and hurt a bunch of people?
Well, here we are.
That's the root, right?
Sure. Here we are, 2018. So we can't go back in history and find the goofball from Virginia Tech and what motivated him, or
Right.
the Aurora. We can't go back
Right.
there because we have failed as a society to take care of people or respond with any sense of responsibility or effectiveness to the glaring danger signs, most outrageously in Parkland, where the guy called cops 42 times, called the FBI 3 times. The guy's going to shoot up the school. Okay, we'll make a note of that. No, the guy's going to shoot up the school. Okay, we'll make a note of that. The guy is bringing a gun to school to shoot people. Here's his manifesto. We've made a note of that. What? Are you kidding me?
It's
so
very
now
difficult for them to do something
No, it's
until
not.
someone does
No,
something.
no, it's not.
Isn't it? No?
No, it's not.
So you think it's a failure of law enforcement?
I had
What's the matter?
It's just a shooting like 2 hours ago.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
another one.
5 people are dead and multiple people are shot.
Where at?
Where?
Annapolis, Maryland, at a
Oh, Maryland, where no one's
then
allowed to have a gun, by the way.
guy walked
Maryland.
into a newsroom and shot a bunch of reporters.
How much
Jesus
you want to
Christ.
bet it was a
The
gun-free zone?
Annapolis
Shotgun.
newsroom, shooting leaves 5 people dead, suspect in custody. A newsroom.
Yeah.
Well, what do
So
you think?
there's my point. So I'm in a newsroom and I'm ready to rock. I'd rather be sitting where you are, but figure you got me covered. My point is that the cat is already out of the bag.
Right.
It's not too late. Columbine guys, glaring signals, red alarms going off over. A Virginia Tech guy, red alarms going off for years.
Well, the Columbine thing is a difficult one because it
No,
really
it's-
hadn't happened before that.
Yeah,
no one
but-
expected it.
But the parents walked through the garage for 3 years where the bomb-making materials were on the table.
Yeah, they weren't the best parents
And
in the
these
world.
guys were like zombies. These guys were like doper freaks from Bonsai Zululand, maniacs. Well, he's just different. No, he's not. He's freaky. We need to sit down with this guy and get him some help. The Aurora guy told his psychiatrist, "My goal is to shoot as many people as possible," and the psychiatrist didn't say anything.
Really?
It's on record. He said it in numerous visits with his psychiatrist that he had threatened his goal in life was to kill as many people as possible, and he's now got his new AR-15 to do it with. And the psychiatrist didn't say anything. I've studied this stuff. We need to not only see something, say something. We're missing the part. The final part, do something. When this kind of aberrant, threatening, violent, red alarm behavior is going off, intervene. Sit down with this kid at the first instance. When your kid comes home all glassy-eyed and goofy and incommunicable and showing weird signs like the Sandy Hook guy did all his life and the Aurora guy did all his life and the Parkland guy, zombie, staring like wouldn't blink in a sandstorm, somebody's got, I know I would. I mean, in my life, whether it's musicians or family members, I go, "Are you all right? What is going on? You look like you're going to shit yourself, man. Are you okay?
But
what
even
are you
if
doing?"
you have that conversation with somebody like the psychiatrist did to the Aurora shooter, I mean, how do you fix these people? I mean, what you're saying is if you have no gun-free zones and people are allowed to have guns, at least they'll have an ability to defend themselves. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. But how do you stop it from happening in the first place? The anti-gun people say the way to stop it is to have no guns available to civilians that can do things like this.
Virtually impossible. A
At this
virtual
point.
impossibility.
So what we're dealing with is just pragmatically when you look at 300 million people and probably 400 million guns.
Well, you haven't counted mine yet.
I mean, how many guns? Well, for every guy like you that has hundreds of guns,
I have almost everybody I know has hundreds of guns. They just like them, man. I got hundreds of arrows.
I have 4.
I have
No,
dozens
5.
of guitars.